Okay. It is Friday, everybody. Friday evening here on the East Coast. Uh, I'm not on the East Coast, but Eastern time zones. Close enough. We're out here. It is 10:42 p.m. And we got a doozy for you tonight, folks. Oh god. My leg is like fucked up. Hold on. That was weird. That was like a cramp or something. Okay. You saw the title. We got a couple things to get into today. Turn the music down a little bit more here. We got a couple things to get into today. First, we're gonna go. Let me see. Actually, what did I say we were gonna do tonight? Okay, yeah. First, we are going to get into the Hassan and Adam Mockler conversation, debate, whatever you want to call it. I wouldn't really call it a debate, but sure, I guess. I mean, it was a debate, I guess, but it wasn't like it wasn't a contentious one necessarily, which is fine. It was a decent conversation to a degree. But we'll talk about my issues with that whole interaction, and then we will also be going back into the Gabby Hanna and Trisha Paytas situation that's been unfolding. Basically, Gabby can't let shit go, and here we are. On top of that, we have a little bit of time. Hopefully, we will talk about Jasmine Crockett a little bit because there's been a lot going on with her and her current, Senate primary bid and with James Tellerico. And I do want to discuss it because I have some opinions on Jasmine Crockett. And I'm frustrated. We'll say that. I'm frustrated. So that's the plan for tonight. Maybe some other stuff depending on what we get through. I don't know. I don't really expect this to be a super long stream. Might cut it a little short tonight, but we'll see. So for the Adam Mockler stuff, I don't know if there's any good clips that have been out there. Um, Hello. How's it going? Still getting set up here. Um, yeah, I don't think there's any really good clips out here for what I want to discuss. But I'm alright. It's Friday, so we're chilling. Adam Mockler, um, he's like a. I think he Hold on, I will. Let me just Google Adam Mockler here. He's like a podcaster, a liberal podcaster. I don't really know how best to describe him. I mean, here, hold on. Um, because I know Jubilee can be a little bit annoying about playing its videos here. Turn the music off for now. This was his Jubilee appearance, but one Gen Z liberal versus 20 Gen Z conservatives featuring Adam Mockler. I'm not gonna like play it, but this is Adam Mockler. Um, but yeah, Trump is causing a rise of fascism in our generation. Uh, but he recently he Hasan had him on his stream yesterday, which was certainly something. And I don't want to rewatch the whole thing or anything like that, but I did want to discuss this a little bit because I felt like this could have been a much more productive conversation. And I honestly did not have strong feelings on Adam Mockler to begin with, like, and I still don't necessarily. But I do just his approach to this conversation was very interesting, I guess. His he has an issue with the optics, I suppose, with the way Hassan words things. And I don't know. I don't really think that what's the word? I don't care. I don't care about the optics, I guess. I don't care about I think it's a little silly when people I do think there is a level of you need to be able to recognize when someone is engaging in hyperbole and not take it 100% seriously. And people would rather just sort of take him 100% seriously rather than, actually understand what he's saying. And there's maybe some argument that he could be a little bit more clearer on certain things. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of just, what about the optics, Hassan? Like, what about the way you word things? And I feel like you're contributing to voter apathy, which I don't necessarily agree with. So yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting conversation. They like overall it was fine. I didn't have like super big issues with it, I guess, but I did I did want to talk about it a little bit here. I actually was supposed to be recording this, but hold on, let's just so yeah, Hassan and Adam Mockler. Hassan had Adam on his stream yesterday, and I don't know. We can take a look at it. We can take a look at it a little bit here. It's it was a pretty long conversation. I mean, I guess like a decent length conversation. And he is young, so ultimately like like I would say that I was probably a liberal once, you know, at one point, like 10 years ago. um not I mean, like, I've moved further to the left at this point, and I don't necessarily I know I'm not going to agree with him on everything he has to say, but it really did just come down to his focus on the optics and his focus on trying to focus in on why liberals are upset with Hassan, and I just don't care. like I just don't care. It just seems like a pointless topic to focus on. Let me see if I can actually find where he kind of says that a little bit here, because there aren't any good clips online from what I could find for this, for what I want to talk about. But let me see what we got here.
Because they deregulated it, there's no more protections for people with any sort of health complications, right? Like let's say they're completely destroying that on the Republican side, and the Democrats are saying, no, we need to keep the current system.
Just step on top of workers. He wants to.
I agree.
He endorsed Project 2025, which literally wants to bring child labor laws back to 1938. He's fundamentally illiberal and doesn't want to let you organize. I mean, like, a lack of organization is part of not living in a liberal society, right? They will squash that. They will kill communists. They will kill socialists. That's what they did in other fascist societies. They killed socialists and communists. Meanwhile, Gavin Newsom, however insufficient you may think he is, and this is not an endorsement of Gavin Newsom, I'm just trying to illustrate my points of, the different realities we could enter. However insufficient you think Gavin Newsom is, he would allow for a really strong labor movement. He would allow for you guys to at least, organize, and he would probably communicate with you guys.
First of all, I don't even think you guys. I think you're a part of this as well. You're not against organizing a labor movement, right? But
no, I'm
also,
not against that.
Also, can you?
Right. So they talked a lot about Hassan's comments about who he would vote for if it was between Gavin Newsom and JD Vance, and he said that he would vote third party, and that caused a shitstorm of just people online being obnoxious, in my opinion. I don't think that it is a good idea for anybody to be like, I would vote for, JD Vance this far out, just from a strategic standpoint. And I also just, not JD Vance, Gavin Newsom. And I also just don't like Gavin Newsom. So for me, I didn't have a problem with his take, really. I hope that's not the outcome that we are left with. I hope that we can avoid that. I hope that we can avoid that timeline, but I'm not sure. We'll see. I do think that in that scenario, JD Vance could, in fact, lose, which, would be good. That's what I would want, but then we would have Gavin Newsom. And that's just disappointing, That's just sad. So I don't want that. I'd rather not live in that reality. But he really tries to pick apart Hassan's use of the word marginal and referring to marginal differences between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And at the end of the day, I just think it was a lot of time wasted on stuff that didn't need to be picked apart like this. It's just, I do think that at some point you get to this space where it's like, I don't care that much about the optics because we are dealing with such serious topics that I would like to just engage with the topics at hand and not worry about how I'm wording certain things or if I'm offending people because I say something a certain way or I'm too hyperbolic, it just kind of feels very silly. But I think he's like 23 and I am honest and if I'm being honest, this is probably an argument I would have made at like 21 or something maybe. So I can't be too hard on him, I guess. I just wish that this conversation hadn't been spent I just wish they hadn't spent so much of this conversation on that kind of thing. And I think you could tell that Hasan was getting kind of like exasperated with it as well. But I don't know. Like I don't hate him. He seems fine. I just I think that he wasted a lot of time in this conversation trying to talk about the optics and talk about oh my god. What did I just say? Hasan's? Okay. Hasan's use of oh my god, I can't talk tonight. Oh my god, that's crazy. Hasan's use of hyperbole. God damn. Baby steps here. Sound it out. Like what is happening?
Crank up your volume a little bit on your end because I maxed it out, but people still are having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, my bad. A lot of
no, it's all good. As far as like what's better rooms for organizing, it's not even a necessary part of this discussion because I know that
it is.
I know that no. The reason why I'm saying it's not a necessary part of this discussion is because given the option between Gavin Newsom and JD Vance, I'm not saying that Gavin Newsom is going to be a situation than JD Vance. I understand and agree with, in theory, the harm reduction narratives. My argument is always around doing away with harm reduction narratives because the harm reduction narrative has led to two spectacular failures thus far, both in 2016 and also in 2020. And as far as like playing hardball with Democrats who don't want to listen, who still want to hold on and maintain this like harm reduction narrative, who still say that they want to appeal to this like mythical moderate voter who's outside of who isn't a normal Democratic Party voter, like these guys that they want to turn to the Democratic Party. I'm willing to play hardball with them and say like, look, I'll hold my vote back. But the reality of the matter is, if you're asking me sincerely, like, do you think that Gavin Newsom is going to be better than JD Vance? Of course. I mean, this is not something like Kamala Harris is objectively going to be better than Donald Trump. The miscommunication, the miscommunication around this comes in large part due to me openly saying like it's out of
like maybe I am just too, I guess, familiar with Hasan's output. Maybe I am just too familiar with Hasan's output, but I do think that it like I just don't think it needs to be like I do think it's a little silly that he needs to clarify that there is a difference between like that there is a difference between Gavin Newsom and JD Vance. It's just that he thinks that the differences are fairly marginal and the outcomes are not marginal, but the differences between JD Vance and, you know, Gavin Newsom are like, you know, it from where he's standing, they're fairly small. And you can debate that as much as you want, but I do just think that it's just the way that he's going to focus so much on the wording and I don't know, I'm tired. Like I'm tired. People on Twitter do this too, and we've gotten to a point where people take the most like extreme or bad faith interpretation of what you have said and they run with that. And it's like there's so many different degrees that we could have gone here, and you took the worst way possible. And I kind of find that frustrating because it's unnecessary. And it leads to not being able to have an actual conversation about anything anymore. Like, I do have to wonder, did people learn subtext? Did we learn inferences? Did we learn interpretation? You know, like did we learn these things in school? Did we learn how to navigate conversations and understand that people don't always say exactly what they mean? We're not exactly the most literal people. You know, we are hyperbolic, we do exaggerate, we do use metaphors, we do, use similes. Like we are not the most straightforward speakers. And we've gotten to a point where people are like taking advantage of that, I guess. They take advantage of the fact that we are very just, I don't know, just flowery and expansive in the way we talk. And that's why subtext is a thing. That's why nuance is a thing. That's why different interpretations and inferences are a thing. That's why context clues are a thing. It's kind of exhausting. I don't know.
Of my hands at that point, because that was the second part that I mentioned. It's openly out of my hands at that point, and there's no way for me to overcome the way that the party is communicating what they want to do, and the fact that a lot of people hear that and immediately go, "Oh, this guy, he wants the Republicans to win." I don't.
Yeah, I don't think you want the Republicans to win. I don't think that at all. And here's where we agree on, actually. So I keep hearing you say that you don't want Democrats to run on the harm reduction narrative in 2028. And I totally effing agree. If we're running on a harm reduction narrative in 2028, we have failed somewhere massively. We want to build an exciting, forward-looking message that can turn out not only our base, but Americans who have been struggling. We need to have something that is not just us unified to our opposition of Donald Trump. For the past decade, we have been defined by our opposition to Trump, and we need something more exciting. So I agree. We should not run on a harm reduction narrative in 2028. But like what you just said, how you just worded your statements was not how you worded it when Jennifer Welch asked you that question.
No, I thought I would vote third party because it's out of my hands at that point.
No, you said at that point it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, at that point it doesn't. Sorry, yeah. What I meant is it's out of my hands, which is the argument that I made with Kamala Harris after like urging the campaign to listen to the warning signs that the people were giving them about the reluctance to address Gaza in a meaningful way, like signaling that they would truly be like an.
Like we are nitpicking the specific wording of what he said. We're nitpicking it's out of my hands versus what I don't there's nothing I can do at that point. Like why are we spending so much time on these little things? Like why are we spending so much time on these points? I don't think it's necessary. I think it was a waste of time on his part. I really do. And I don't know what his goal was. Honestly. Like, I don't know what he was hoping to convey to Hasan in this moment. Other than stuff that I assume Hasan has heard a million times over, which is that he's hyperbolic, he exaggerates, he he says things that get taken out of context, and that's the other thing. People do clip Hasan out of context, and this is coming off as a people do clip Hasan out of context, and it does lead to people misinterpreting what he is saying or representing what he is saying, and that's not really his fault. Like he's not like you're basically just like, how dare you get clipped, like people get clipped online all the time. It's not really their fault. It's the clippers, the people doing the clipping. So I don't know. It was not the best. It was not the best. It was not the best approach. Not the best performance, in my opinion. Disappointed. Let's see if we can get to the voter apathy part. I want to try and find that part because I don't think that, like, I don't think that's a fair take either. And that's just, I would say this about anybody, any content creator. Like, I don't think that, I don't know. I think that if you interpret it as voter apathy or as Hasan saying, don't go out and vote, then I think that's, like, that's something that you maybe need to work on. Like, that you need to get better at your interpretation at that point. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm being spicy, but I just was not. It was just an annoying conversation. It was an annoying point that he kept trying to bring up, and it felt like a waste of time. It felt like there were many other better things to be talking. It felt like there were many other things to be talking about that were more productive, and it was just not my favorite approach to this conversation.
Anti-war a party, even though Donald Trump is like a fucking warmonger, trying to get them to communicate that, there are meaningful differences between their design overall, not leaning in and not conceding on the white nativist anti-immigrant narratives, knowing full well how devastating Trump's mass deportations were going to look like. I poured hours and hours and hours of commentary into this, thousands of hours of commentary into this, and it's always reduced back to whatever like reasonable soundbite that people can cling on to say, oh, we got him. He's a third party guy.
What do you mean it's out of? Well, you said you would vote third party, but what do you mean it's out of your hands?
Oh, perfect.
Like you mean like we would lose at that point?
I don't know if we would necessarily. I don't know if we would lose because JD Vance is uniquely uncharismatic.
Yeah,
but
we saw that today.
I mean, we see that every day, right? I mean, he's a fucking disaster. I still think that Gavin Newsom is particularly weak against JD Vance, unfortunately. So I don't know. I feel like it would still be a toss up at that point, partially because while JD Vance is not capable of holding the Trump coalition together, I don't even worry about JD Vance as much necessarily. I don't really worry about Marco Rubio. I worry about Tucker Carlson. I think Tucker Carlson has he's the real torch carrier of the MAGA movement. I don't even know if.
Okay, you know what? My hot take is that I don't think Tucker Carlson's gonna run. Multiple people have said this, and I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've been wrong before in my life. I just don't think he's gonna run. I think he's not interested, but maybe I have been fooled. Maybe I have been, maybe I have not seen the signs as clearly as people have. But I don't think he's gonna run. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it ends up being a thing. I hope not. I don't want it to happen. That would be very unfortunate for everybody involved if Tucker Carlson were to run for fucking president. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Donald Trump recognizes that yet or admits that personally, but I think it's there. And
he fits the mold of an outsider, populist, anti-establishment
television guy who understands how to communicate. He is charismatic as well. So
that's really scary.
So he is the one I'm actually terrified of, more so than Marco Rubio, who is like a straight line neocon. He's not going to be able to do the populist shit. And JD Vance is basically like evil Pete Buttigieg, like role reversal Pete Buttigieg, where like he also has that like McKinsey consultant vibe to him. I like to say when JD Vance comes into your neighborhood, that like the coal mine is shutting down. Like he has the attitude of a guy who's going to be like, we see you, we hear you, but we have to eliminate some redundancies. And I think most working class individuals, regardless of the MAGA cult, kind of see that he is insincere. So he doesn't have that populist element, and he tries to make up for it by being like this gross little groiper, even though he has an Indian wife and Indian children, and therefore even the super racists don't like him for that reason. So these are just like the two default positions that the Trump administration is like, looking at right now, but I do think it's like possibly going to be Tucker Carlson. Now, going back to Gavin Newsom versus JD Vance, Gavin Newsom unfortunately has a lot of the California stink associated with him. I love California. I live here. And there's a lot of exaggerations about how devastating California is, like how terrible the conditions are here. Into that too. What I mean by that is exactly what I said in the 2024 election, where it was like, you can't, as a singular individual, or even with like the entire might of the media behind you, outflank the actual campaign. So if Gavin Newsom is running as the Gavin Newsom that we know so far, you know, he'll say certain things like, oh, I refuse to take money from AIPAC. Great. But then when push comes to shove, like he will still be inconsistent on the issue of Israel. He won't like fully subscribe to you know, punishing Israeli leadership, or fully subscribe to like refusing any sort of arms sales to Israel. And outside of Israel, of course, you know, beholden to corporate interest when it comes to like the real estate lobby, anti-Medicare for all. If he runs as that, okay, there's no amount of advocacy that I can engage in that will make him look better. I can consistently talk about how much worse the Republican
That's
side
not
is
what you
going
were
to be.
You were asked if you would vote for him. And I'm not even saying you should have said yes in that moment, but you were asked, would you vote for him? And you said at that point, it doesn't even matter. Here's what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
I think there was a very solid answer you could have given that didn't outrage the liberals online as much. And I know that a lot of people flung a lot of shit at you on Twitter. That's always what happens. But
Yeah.
I think there was an answer where you could have been like, listen,
Who cares? Who cares about outraging the liberals? Genuinely asking. Genuinely asking. Other than, you know, the liberals, who cares? This is what we're doing. This is literally what we're doing. We are saying, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Wah wah. Let me rephrase that for you. That is ultimately what we are getting at. And I just think it's so silly. Who cares? If you can't take a little bit of like, if you just can't take some shit phrased in a way that you don't fuck with, like you gotta do like you gotta get thicker skin. You gotta get thicker skin. You gotta get thicker skin. Because this isn't even about you. It's not even like an attack on you. You are getting offended because of his take on Gavin Newsom and the way he worded it. You're ridiculous. You're a ridiculous person. You're a ridiculous person, and it was a waste of time to spend this much time and energy on this topic.
refuse to pre-commit to any candidate 2 years ahead of a primary. They have to earn my votes, and that's what I want to see. And I totally get you're on stream like 8 hours a day. You're not always going to say everything perfectly. But here's where a lot of liberals online are mad, and here's where we're all kind of talking past each other. I see a lot of people online saying all liberals want us to line up behind Gavin Newsom 2 years before a primary. And that's not even the argument that any of us are making. I think where a lot of liberals have problems with the way you speak about the Democratic Party is that you try to minimize the gap between the Democratic and Republican Party. So I can totally grant that you meant to say like, well, you were asked, you were asked, would you vote for J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom? You said, I'd vote third party. At that point, it doesn't even matter. It feels like you're drawing a false equivalency. And then a few days later, you basically said, Gavin Newsom will only be marginally better than whatever Republican candidate there is. Then you said, Democrats have literally written you out of existence regarding trans people.
Wait, did you see the rest of that quote?
I watched the video, but yeah, I watched what's the rest of the quote?
Did you hear me say that marginal differences between each candidate?
Again, I cannot put enough emphasis on this enough. Why does it matter? Like, sure, some things obviously you can take issue with the wording, and we can talk about it a little bit, but at the end of the day, at the core of this, you have him saying stuff like, you minimize the differences between the Democratic Party and the Republicans, and what tangible effect does that have on voting? What is your argument? If your argument is that it contributes to voter apathy, I disagree. We can discuss it, but I disagree. And so I just think it's weird. It's like a weird little trying to pin voter apathy on Hasan while ignoring the fact that the Democrats don't put forward a platform that appeals to people anymore. And they are frustrating and they are hypocritical. I mean, like I don't know what to say. I don't know what else to say. I think that at the end of the day, the problem is going to always lie with the Democratic Party. Hasan has said this and I agree with him, the problem is always going to be with the Democratic Party, and they have to make a fundamental change. And nothing Hasan says or does is going to have an effect on that, or is going to have a effect on that that outflanks the effect of the Democratic Party, that outflanks the effect of the Democratic Party's own decisions.
You see, like marginal differences between two parties leads to drastically different outcomes for marginalized populations. Having said that, however, from the eye of like a voter, they don't make that distinction at all, especially if they are from coming at it from a privileged position. If it doesn't like attack, if it doesn't harm them at all. And not only
there's not
that,
a marginal. So you're kind of conflating two things. When you say there's a marginal difference between the two parties, I think that signals to people that either way they vote, it doesn't really matter that much. That's how people take that. When you say trans people would be, you said like Democrats would shoot trans people in the back of the head. That signals that Democrats aren't really that different than Republicans. When that's not true. There's not a marginal difference between Democrats and Republicans. There's a very meaningful difference. If it was like Obama versus McCain, and you said there's a marginal difference,
I said
fine.
Democrats would. It's exaggeration. Democrats would kill trans people if it meant securing additional electoral votes. And that's not an argument that like Democrats are going to run on a policy of killing trans people. It's a hyperbolic statement about Democrats cutting out trans people, which, as you saw probably in this last week, in the aftermath of the fucking neo-Nazi MAGA dad, or not MAGA dad, the trans shooter that was a fucking huge neo-Nazi, who's apparently his son was also a neo-Nazi, who's in prison as well, which is, you know, not very shocking. There were a lot of people floating around bad polls about, not bad necessarily from a, like the polls are fine, but they were polls that made it seem as though the trans issue is something that we as Democrats should not actually advocate for. It was Laksha Jain. And I always go back to obviously the first week after the Kamala Harris election defeat, where a bunch of prominent Democrats, who got yelled at, to be fair, by other Democrats in the caucus, but a bunch of prominent Democrats went on television and immediately were like, we lost because of the trans stuff. They put a lot of overemphasis in the Kamala Harris is going to give bottom surgeries to Guatemalan transgender prisoners in immigrant detention facilities. My argument always is, if the Democrats actually put forth policies that people have to attack, like the Republicans have to attack, then the trans issue just becomes unserious and a relic of the culture war that people don't pay attention to. And in the absence of definable policies that you can associate with the Democrats, they become very defined by what their enemy, the Republicans, define them as.
Yeah, so
that's also,
I don't actually I don't disagree with your analysis at the end there. I do think that if we had a more affirmative, unifying message, then people wouldn't care. Like Medicare for all would be really exciting for so many people. I heard you say this, and I actually agree there. But just because some Democrats went on TV after Kamala lost, and just because some Democrats that are floating polls around on Twitter that are showing people don't like trans, that doesn't mean Democrats don't care about trans people or have written them out of existence. Like the difference between Democrats and Republicans on trans people is not marginal. It is not slight. It is very, very meaningful. If you grew up in the state of Indiana, where I grew up, and you tell a counselor that you are having thoughts about, you know, like gender dysphoria, or you want to change your name, they have to go tell your parents. But if you go across the
like, he's not wrong. The outcome is definitely different. It is much different. It is vastly different. However, I don't think it's just some Democrats who have come out and insinuated that we should throw trans people under the bus. There's just a lack of willingness to stand on that topic and protect trans people actively that the Democratic Party has exhibited. So that's my complaint with the Democratic Party on that topic in that regard. But you know.
state borders in the state of Illinois, someone who you probably think is like a moderate billionaire, J.B. Pritzker, he's turned it into a sanctuary state where you can get your.
No, I like JB's policies. Yeah, I'm very aware of this distinction.
Okay, but
I
wait a
know.
minute, wait a minute. So J.B. Pritzker, Andy Bashir, even Governor Newsom turned California into a sanctuary state. It is a very progressive state. So can you see how people are bothered when you then go on the stream, and I'm quoting you verbatim, you said Democrats have written you out of existence, Democrats don't give a fuck about you, and then you said later on, the marginalized identities have been left behind by the Democratic Party. You're kind of drawing a false equivalency, and then that brings me back to the Jennifer Welch clip. I'm trying to give you the strongest liberal argument here as to why people are mad. It's not because
And by the way, I've heard this argument. I used to make this argument myself.
Yeah, like, but you said at that point it doesn't even matter, and that kind of feeds into the broader apathy that you seem to be pushing towards. So there is a meaningful difference between Democrats and Republicans on trans issues, right? If you grew up in a Democrat or a Republican state, there's a meaningful difference between your quality of life. Can you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
So a meaningful difference. There's a big difference. Okay, so
no, there is a meaningful difference between living in a Democratic state, hopefully one that isn't captured by Republican state legislatures that will then, even under Democratic leadership within the White House, take advantage of the state legislature apparatus to still undermine trans existence and then take that all the way up the courts of the Supreme Court. There's a meaningful distinction between having a liberal Supreme Court majority versus a Republican Supreme Court majority, a super majority even. These are all things that I fully understand and fully agree to and don't want to happen. When I talk about the Democratic Party's lack of interest in like actively fighting back and counter messaging against the Republican misinformation around trans people, what I'm talking about is Democrats running from a place of fear. What I want the Democrats to do is to, one, not compromise at all when it comes to putting forth a counter messaging operation to go back and fight back against the Republican Party when it comes to trans issues. But also, this isn't even just about trans people either. This goes back to even undocumented migrants and migrants in general, like Haitians eating cats and dogs, all the endless amounts of attacks, and the notion that like undocumented migrants constitute a national security threat, the way that the Republicans present it, it's pure hysteria. Something that I've told Democrats over and over again, urged Democrats over and over again, even when Joe Biden was president early on, down to the DNC, where I talked to them directly and told them to address over and over again with the hopes that they would, at the very least, push back against this so we wouldn't have seemingly a more, like a bigger mandate, a bigger popular mandate for Donald Trump on issues such as that. I think every moment that the Democrats waste, not on the offense.
Like, he's right. He is right. And I do think that is the issue a lot of people have with the Democrats, is that they don't put up enough of a fight. They don't push back enough. And especially when the Republicans are saying ridiculous things like Haitians are eating cats and dogs. It is just wild to me. So yeah, I do think that Hasan is correct when he says that the Democrats have abandoned minorities to an extent. I don't think that's an incorrect thing to say at all.
On affirmative policies and affirmative policy vision that is easily definable is a moment where the conversation revolves around culture war issues, specifically attacking trans people, and it ends up harming trans people that way. There is a big difference between a blue state and a red one in terms of trans existence. To deny that would be silly. I don't deny that at all.
Good. What about between like a Newsom, if Newsom got everything he wanted in America and JD Vance got everything he wanted in America, do you think there would be a meaningful difference for trans people?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I mean, we're like Donald Trump's first action when he came into office. Like this might come as a surprise to people, maybe in your audience or people that have seen these clips, and assume that I don't think that there's any difference between a Democratic leadership or a Republican one. I will never work with Republicans. Well, I guess maybe Thomas Massey on like a very random issue, you know what I mean? A random issue that's like the Epstein files, something like that. But I don't agree with Republicans ideologically. And my criticisms of the Democratic Party revolve around their closeness to Republicans or their endless interest in conceding to Republicans on certain issues, because that concession doesn't actually end up causing them to win elections. The only thing it actually ends up doing is those concessions actually normalize some of the Republican agenda items in the eyes of the base of the Democratic Party. And only until people realize how devastating the outcome of those policies are, do they turn around and go, oh, I have buyer's remorse now. Fell for it again award. I didn't realize that the party that said they were going to do mass deportations is actually doing mass deportations. Or I didn't realize that those mass deportations were going to look so fucking violent and so disgusting that my neighbors were going to be in fear.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with a lot of that. And I don't want you to think I was just watching clips of you. I watched your entire
No,
stream.
I know.
Where it just felt like you were saying two different things at once. You take these really strong declarative statements or those positions about the Democratic Party, and like you quite literally said Democrats, or you said the marginalized identities have been left behind by the Democratic Party, and then you go on to explain in a little bit more nuance that yes, growing up in a trans state or a red state would be better than growing up in a blue state would be better than a red state as a trans person. So you do clarify that in the video that I watched. But can you then see how Democrats, or at least liberals on Twitter, who are just like seeing you repeatedly?
I mean, again, I do think that they have been left behind to an extent. I do believe they have been left behind to an extent. I don't think that's an extreme thing to say, Adam. Adam, Bob Adam, Fee Fi, Fof Adam. Like, what are we doing?
Say this. Gavin Newsom will be marginally better than whatever the Democratic candidate is, but you then just said to me that you think he will be meaningfully better if he got into
marginal
office.
differences in terms of policy in the way that they communicate it. Like Gavin Newsom, I don't know what he's going to run on in terms of defending trans people, right? Like I don't know how big of a part of his advocacy this will be. I can only look to what he's trying to do, what he's trying to present himself as right now, right? Because we can look at his experience as a governor in California, but then if there is a pivot to the center on trans issues a little bit.
No, I don't think
you don't think
conflate the way he talked. No, I don't think you can conflate the way he spoke to Charlie Kirk on the podcast with the way that he's actually ruled California. There is a very, very meaningful difference between the way that he's ruled California versus the way that Republicans would. And here's
I don't disagree with that.
So then why does he concede on certain issues to people like Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro? What is the point of doing that? And why shouldn't I be skeptical of somebody who would do that? Why should I not be skeptical of somebody who does not stand on their word or does not stand on their actions? And you can make the argument that he's trying to campaign, so he's trying to, make himself presentable to certain audiences, but that's also another thing. I mean, why should I not be concerned about someone who was willing to sort of, put away certain things in order to present themselves in a certain way? It's just, it's not a crazy thing to look at Gavin Newsom and see the way he's been moving and be like, I don't know about that one, fam.
The reason why I'm asking that is
but here's the problem. There's a category error happening here where you keep saying that there's a marginal difference between the parties. And I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. You think there's a marginal policy difference between the parties because you think Democrats should be farther to the left and stand up for this stuff. But when you say that, a lot of liberals think that you're arguing that there's a marginal difference in outcomes. And you are conceding right here there's not a marginal difference.
No, there's not a marginal difference in outcomes.
Okay, so I think that needs to be clarified more because that does kind of draw some apathy between voters. But going back to Gavin Newsom, no, he has quite literally changed the way California looks at trans people. Just because he gave an insufficient answer on Gavin Newsom's podcast doesn't lead me to believe that he's going to entirely throw trans people under the bus. Let me just go through this.
No, hold on. It's not entirely, but do you feel? And I'm not trying to debate you on this. I'm just asking you sincerely. Do you think that it is indicative that there is at least in the way that he's communicating, a pivot to a more moderate position on trans issues because he calculates this as more electorally viable?
No. Was he asked about trans issues or trans sports in particular?
The pieces that I've seen is mostly talking about.
It doesn't matter. The issue of trans sports is inherently linked to discriminating against trans people on the basis that they are trans. It has nothing to do with fairness. It has nothing to do with mediocrity, or it has nothing to do with trying to keep a level playing ground for everybody involved, and it has everything to do with discriminating against people on the basis that they are trans. So it does not matter if he was specifically asked about trans sports or trans rights. It does not matter. If he concedes on the issue of trans people in sports, he is conceding on the issue of discriminating against trans people. on the basis that they are trans. So it does not matter.
Transports and saying that transports
Yeah,
is
so it's
a bridge too far or something like that.
yeah, and like that can totally be insufficient for your worldview, and you can say that that is not sufficiently progressive enough. But I think that to say that Gavin Newsom, because he said that to Charlie Kirk, that nullifies the way that he's actually ran in California. You're using that
No,
one conversation to wait.
it doesn't.
Okay,
I don't
let
think
me
it
just
nullifies the way it was in California. I'm making
let me
an
just lay this out.
assessment
Newsom
off
has
of.
signed a law. Sorry. Go for it.
I'm making an assessment off of. I know Gavin Newsom, just like Andy Bashar, who I have given tremendous props to, more so than Gavin Newsom because he's doing it in fucking a Trump 35 state, right? Trump plus 35 state.
Yeah, he's holding
with
the line
with a
over
hostile with a hostile state legislature too. So it's like
Yeah.
it's infinitely more difficult. He actually shows the rest of the Democratic Party. I use him as an example to show the rest of the Democratic Party that you don't have to be compromising. And the way he's talked about trans people is actually wonderful. Where he says these are, Christian. These are my neighbor. God teaches me to love my neighbor, not to fight my neighbor. I remember when he stood up at that state legislature member where he was like, you have to apologize to these constituents. These are your constituents as well. Wait, hold on one second. Can you take it off of emote only mode? What's going on? Why do people keep saying robot? Why do people keep spamming robots? Is there an issue?
Is my mic better now too? Sorry.
No, I've been hearing you clearly this entire time, but I don't know what the fuck's going on. I took it off emote mode. Is it effing? Was literally to defend gay marriage. And
Yeah. I think I've said all I have to say about this. I did not like the way he kept trying to focus on the optics of like Hasan being too hyperbolic. I think that's very silly and pointless, and I don't really have an interest in that. I think it was a waste of time on a conversation that could have been more productive. And I don't think that was a particularly productive part of the conversation. Like I don't think it progressed the conversation at all, and I don't think he made any actual headway when it comes to changing Hasan's opinion on that topic. And I honestly don't blame him because I think it's silly to focus on the optics in this scenario. Like at the end of the day, we're talking about topics that are pretty serious, pretty important. And yeah, I'm going to probably say some things in a hyperbolic way or in a way that might upset you a little bit. But I think that again, he's talking about stuff like saying there are, only marginal differences between the Democrats and Republicans means that people are going to be more apathetic when it comes to voting. And I think that's a stretch. I think that's a bit of a reach. And you can definitely argue that Hasan has a large you can definitely argue that Hasan has a large audience and a lot of people who, listen to him and value his opinion. But I also think that to say that he's to say that that is causing voter apathy when he says certain things like that is a little bit of a stretch. It's a little bit much. And it just felt like a waste of time. I'm gonna say we move on from this. Give me a second. And I'm gonna say we move on from this because I've had enough of this. we get it. You don't like the way Hasan words things. It's all right. We'll survive. I did want to get back into the Gabbie, Hannah, and Trisha Paytas stuff. So we do have the podcast that Gabbie did still to watch. We watched a little bit of it the other night. Let me pull this up. Alrighty. We were further than this, but I don't know. I am gonna skip this a little bit here. Hold on. Playback speed 1.25. Sure, 1.25. Jump ahead. And here we go. All right. So, recap, Gabbie is talking about her past with Trisha. And it's honestly just been a mess. She did some TikToks. We took a look at those the other night. It really is just Gabbie having another moment where she, I guess, wants to, I don't even know, like again, this is it's not like this is new drama. It's not like something new happened. She is reacting to something that happened years ago again. And I do think it's interesting that she paints this as though this is something that has had a huge effect on her life, made it so difficult for her to just go out and be normal. When in reality, the problem here is Gabbie and her own actions. She is the reason people react to her the way they do. It's not what Trisha said however many years ago. So that is the issue I have already with what we have seen and what we have to look at here. But it is also just very on brand for Gabbie. She really hasn't changed.
Series, right? So
yeah, probably. And I guess that kind of helps me segue into the point is I feel like I can't do anything unless I address this massive elephant in every single room I walk into, where I'm a human being just like an adult, right? Like trying to live life, trying to function in society, volunteer, serve churches and communities, and I'm literally being rejected, and you being married to me, like being rejected from service opportunities and volunteer opportunities.
I don't think that's because of what Trisha said back in like 2020, 2018. I don't even know. It's been a long ass time. I don't think you're getting rejected from churches because of what Trisha said. Gabbie. Let's be serious for a moment.
And just like being literally just triggered every day by comment sections, by, you know, I go live, all of the live chat, just content that I get served, being Gabbie Hanna, about Gabbie Hanna and her mental issues and her psychosis, and all my comments, like when I first started posting it a couple weeks ago, all positive, like finding a cool, you know, some of my old fans, some new people who are just finding me, and it's just all positive. I love what you're saying, love what you're doing. And then I'm posting, I'm getting some viral videos, which literally triggers everyone on the internet. Oh, wait, Gabbie's like going viral again. So now I can go viral by being hateful towards her. So I'm just scrolling and then I see pictures or videos and pictures with hundreds of thousands of likes, millions of views that literally just say nothing except for hateful things. And then if you call them out on it, it's like feigned as, no, it's just genuine concern. Like I'm actually concerned you're experiencing psychosis. And every time this happens, I say,
like I do think there are probably some people who are pretending to be concerned about Gabbie's mental health. I do also think that there are people who are probably genuinely concerned about Gabbie's mental health because Gabbie has had a very public mental episode, mental, like manic episode that spanned quite a few days and involved a lot of people watching it play out. And because of that, you have a lot of people who now feel some sort of investment in her mental health. And I'm not saying that's healthy, that's definitely parasocial, it's definitely weird, but that is where we are at. I don't know how she manages that. I don't know what you do in that scenario because I've never been there. I do also think there are probably people who are just genuinely worried about her mental health. And then there are probably people who just take issue with the things she's been posting, like me. Again, that ice TikTok, not great. Not a great look, Gabbie. And the religious stuff is people feel weird about religion. That's just the internet. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you about that one. That was always going to be a thing. So, but I do think that there's also a chance that Gabbie has sort of latched on to Christianity and latched on to religion in an attempt to sort of, I don't know, find a new thing, I don't know. That would be my concern when it comes to Gabbie's mental health in all of this.
Why do you think I'm experiencing psychosis? My life is fine.
Okay, to be fair, we could take a look at her TikTok, and I do think that there's, some decent evidence, I guess, for the possibility of psychosis. But
If you're a follower of Jesus but don't feel comfortable calling yourself a Christian because of what the church has become in culture, this poem is for you. I am not a Christian. I am a saint. I'm one of the chosen ones the Apostle Paul was speaking to when he wrote to all the followers of Christ back in the day. Read your Bibles. I am not asleep. I am awake. I'm not allowed to shut my eyes to the murder, greed, and crime. I can't sleep. There's babies dying on the street, and I might be insane, but I am safe. Because I chose to believe my Father when he called us sons and daughters, and I kneel before the King in all his grace. There has been too much food upon my plate. I am wasteful as the needy turn to waste. I am gluttonous and prideful, binging but never feeling full, but Jesus was still lying in wait. He didn't count me out as Satan's prey. I don't have to die in my mistakes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Religious psychosis is a wild thing. These comments. Oh my god. Also, she keeps saying the baby's dying in the street line. Like, she has a shirt that says that at this point. Like, that was from her fucking mental breakdown that she had. She was talking about babies dying in the street, and now she's turned it into like a brand thing. I don't all right. So yeah, I think that's why people think that you're possibly experiencing psychosis.
Okay, so this message is for my atheist followers, or not followers, because I feel like this message is for one of you specifically. It isn't like the intelligent and like smart stance to not believe in something you've never seen. It's really easy to not believe in something you've never seen. It's very easy to not believe in something you've never experienced. What's harder to do is actually open your mind to the idea that there are things that we do not know. In Christianity, we call that humility. It's the idea of we don't know everything, we can't possibly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right.
So I was about to do my little workout and this comment popped into my head that I see every once in a while. It's like, what is this canceled creator to Christian pipeline? What is this mental health crisis to Christian pipeline? Okay, if somebody goes through something crazy, especially publicly, you see that they're struggling. You see they're going down a dark path. You see that it seems really like hopeless for them, right? And then they come back. They're happy. They're thriving. They're creating. They're healthy. And they're with Jesus. And they're talking about it. And then everybody is like, not everybody, but the specific people who are like, what's with the pipeline? Like, why does this always happen? May this miss me? If time and time and time and time again, you see people go through the absolute worst and come back glowing, and they say it's Jesus, believe them. It's evidence. It's literally data. Time and time again, people come back healed with Hi, this is my husband Robbie.
And this is my wife, Gabbie.
And we are And the Front Men. Our first album just came out tonight, so...
Anyways.
Hi guys, this is my husband Robbie.
Hey guys, this is my wife, Gabbie.
And this is my cat.
The cat's cute. Love the cat. Love the cat. Fan of the cat. Can we keep the cat? Can we replace the cat? Can we replace Gabbie with the cat? Is that an option? Please?
Listen, I don't know who needs to hear this, but other people's mental health is not a trend. And I hope everybody can like wake up to this thing that I've been obviously seeing from this side of it. I feel like the public is ready to see it. That anytime I start doing anything, posting content regularly, putting out music, it's always like she's manic again. If I'm dancing, psychosis, nurse, helper, she's out again, right?
Like, again, I do think there are a lot of people who do that to her, and it's not necessary it's not necessary. However, I do think that she has the religion stuff. It's hard to tell if it's a genuine conversion, a genuine embrace, or if it is something that is maybe spurred by her mental health. I don't know. I would be concerned. That's all. At the end of the day, Gabbie's gonna do what Gabbie do, I guess.
It seems like Gabbie Hanna is starting to show signs of psychosis again. Hi babe, it's me, Gabbie Hanna.
Also, like, you could just ignore it. You know, Gabbie, like you could just ignore it. Let me see if I can find the AI video. Hold on.
Well guys, it's 2026 and I finally have... This is my apology to Rebecca Black, and I'm also going to tell you guys how God directly paid me back for this evil. Okay, so I met Rebecca Black. If you don't, you know who Rebecca Black is. This is my apology video for Miss Joelle Siwa. First of all, Joelle, I love the name change. I'm really interested in why you chose to do it. I can make some guesses. I actually just changed my name from Gabbie to Gabrielle on socials. I'm asking people in my real life to call me Gabrielle. And the reason I'm doing it is because my name Gabrielle means messenger of God. And I changed it to Gabbie sometime in like grade school or when I was a kid, and I became a very unnecessarily chatty woman. So I decided to change it back. Anyways, I want to say I'm sorry.
Like, are we... Come on. Gabbie, come on. I mean, Gabrielle. Sorry. If she wants to be Gabrielle, I'll call her Gabrielle. But, like, come on. Come on. Are we for real? Is it that deep? I guess. I don't think it's that deep. I think that I don't really think that what's in a name? A rose by any other name is a rose? Like, I don't know. Well, fuck it.
If you are hateful and rude toward God, you cannot act surprised when he doesn't show up for you. If you are ungrateful and dismissive and disobedient to God and disrespectful to God, you cannot act surprised when he does not show up for you or reveal himself in the way that you would like him to. Our relationship with God is exactly that, a relationship with God. So if you're having a relationship with someone, if you're in a relationship, a friendship, romantic, familial, and somebody is just constantly saying,
Like, girl, you just got here. I don't think you get to preach. I don't think you get to preach. Like, you're new to the club. You just got here. I'm not even in the club, but like, if I were in the club, I would be like, hey, what is this newbie doing? Can we shut her up? Like she's doing a little bit too much yapping. Uh, I don't have strong opinions on, God or Jesus, or like when he's with you or when he's not with you, etc., etc. However, I did grow up in a Christian environment. I did communion. I did confirmation. I did all of those lovely little things where I had to spend time reading the Bible and studying the Bible and being like, this is what the Bible says. And I got the sense that, the relationship with God part isn't necessarily supposed to be like a transactional thing, or like a what's the word? Like a it's not something that it's something that is supposed to, always be there. Like God's always supposed to be sort of with you. Jesus is with you. Jesus, carries you when you can't. Like that's the whole fucking like the it just like it's just it's just stupid. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. It's someone who does not know what they are talking about trying to preach fucking gospel, and that's already something that people spend literal years of their fucking life, like people who actually take this shit seriously, studying this shit and trying to understand this shit. Like that is a thing. Like people still study the Bible rather intensively. um Again, I'm not like a religious person myself, but I do find that to be, an interesting topic at least. Um, like if you take all the sort of awful shit out of religion, it's an interesting topic. I just hate that, people do awful things in the name of religion or talk like this.
awful things about you, or ignoring you, or being ungrateful toward you, being arrogant, being prideful, and you're just supposed to sit there, here you go, here's more.
Like, I think this is weird and dystopian. Anyone else watched her episode in real time? That was peak TikTok. That was not peak TikTok. Like, that was an actual uncomfortable, concerning time to be on the internet. Like, she let a stranger into her home. That could have gone so bad. And yeah, people watched it because, they love a public spectacle. But there were also a lot of people who watched that shit and were genuinely worried about Gabbie's safety. And I do think that is something that I don't know if she has necessarily processed, that there were a lot of people who were watching that and being like, holy fuck, is something going to happen here? Like, there were multiple wellness checks done because, again, people were watching. They were trying to get in contact with her family. It was like a whole thing. It was not peak TikTok. Like Gabbie is still a human being at the end of the day. Um like I will talk about her, Christian pivot and that kind of thing, because I do think there are some harmful elements to this. But I don't think it's a good idea to talk about her mental health like it's a show. That only makes it worse. That only makes it worse. Yeah, yeah. All right. Like that's an insane thing to say. It was peak TikTok. Oh, fuck off, bro.
So you know when Christians are like, and then God said to me, or
Okay, this is the fucking this this is the one that I think is just a sign. This is the one that I'm like, we're maybe we're getting into some psychosis, maybe we're getting into some not just religious psychosis, but possibly AI psychosis. I don't know. So yeah.
God told me to, and you're like, what does that mean? Either as a Christian or somebody on the outside who's just confused. What does that mean when you say God spoke to you? So there's a lot of ways. The main way is scripture, because God's words are actually in scripture. His way that he wants you to conduct yourself and live life and function as a society is clear in every book of the Bible. Love God more than anything else and love your neighbor as yourself. Mimic Jesus. What would Jesus do? Feed the hungry, live humbly, only have what he needed and share with everybody. Speak boldly and profess the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, because people need to hear the truth. So all that's in here, right? And then there's a lot of more mystical ways. Some people actually hear a voice. Some people have dreams. I have very vivid dreams that I know when they're from God, when they're spiritual at all, because not all dreams that are spiritual are from God. And when they're just a dream. Like when you have dreams like that, if you're somebody who has that gift, you know what I'm talking about. But sometimes God will get so close in your personal space and flex with a mini miracle just to remind you that he's here. He controls everything. The book you're reading, the phone in your hand, he is in control of everything. Okay, so my husband and I got married on 5/25/25, May 25th, 2025. Okay. I like repetitive numbers. It's easier for me to remember, and it looks so pretty on your wedding date. Like, it's just beautiful. If you can have 5/25/25 instead of 5/24/25, 5/26/25, why wouldn't you do? Anyways. Okay, so before our wedding, I'm praying, God, is this the man that you sent for me? Is this the right decision? This is one of the biggest decisions of my entire life. Is this what you want from me? Please be so clear. I'm second guessing everything. I've been used, right? I'm paranoid. I've been deeply hurt. I've been deeply betrayed. I don't feel safe around a lot of people. God, is this the man that you have for me? So our date, 5/25/25, had been set like pretty much from the start. I'm on my knees, I'm in prayer, and this thought pops into my head. Google Bible verse 5/25/25. So I Google Bible verse 5/25/25, and at the top, like AI overview, it says Bible verse 5/25/25 refers to Ephesians 5:2-5. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So there is no Bible verse 5/25/25, right? The AI overview could have picked out Psalm.
Yeah, so I did this myself. I googled this myself, and I got many different options for Bible verse 5/25/25, because exactly as she is saying, there is no Bible verse 5/25/25, and AI overview is just going to give you whatever the fuck it thinks fits the bill. And so she just so happened to get one that referenced marriage, and because of that, she goes through with her marriage. She goes through with her marriage. She says, "Fuck it, that's it." That confirmed it for me. And I am just so AI averse. I am so against AI that I just like, why did God need to tell you to Google Bible verse 5/25/25? Why couldn't God just say, "No, you're on the right path. Like, this is it." Like, what? Why did he have to put in the extra steps? It's my wedding day. Get to the fucking point, Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's just a silly thing. Anyway, that's it. We're gonna get back to the stupid podcast, because I have been putting it off. But that's why, Gabbie, people maybe think you're experiencing some sort of psychosis. So, like, again, I don't think that everybody is necessarily acting in the best faith, when it comes to her mental health, but I do think there are quite a few people who are just actually concerned or actually worried that this could be a repeat situation.
Like, that's the most frustrating part, is like, my bills have never not been paid. I have never not been safe until people started showing up to my house. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never been putting myself or anybody else in danger, just like expressing myself in ways that people don't like. But because of the narrative that's been created, and that's the purpose of this video, is addressing the root of why is this thing. It's just, for some reason, we all know that Gabbie Hanna is psychotic. We all witnessed something which was a result of this, right? And it's like, okay, where did this start? And all I want is peace and love. But I also want truth. And the truth is, this all started with Trisha Paytas. And I just need to say it all out so that there's an account and a record of my side. Because I've tried to defend myself before, and I spent so many hours, days, weeks, literally going back in phones and hard drives from years and years ago to prove that what I was saying was true and what was being said about me was blatant defamation and slander, and not that many people cared. And the people who did care were completely shouted down and harassed. Like, if you left any type of defense or logic or support of me in any way, those comments, and people can let you know right now, if you're one of those people, comment it. So many people DMing me, or creators saying, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I wish I could defend you, but I can't right now because XYZ.
What do the comments have to say, I wonder? Let's see. I asked ChatGPT, baby, you never had me, but you sure lost me there. We cannot keep reheating these nachos. This is the exact opposite of moving on. Gabbie didn't find God, she found ChatGPT. Oh God, what is she fucking gonna do with ChatGPT? God, see, this is what I mean, Gabbie. AI psychosis as well. It's looking like, I don't know. I genuinely don't want to talk about this, then don't. The lack of introspection is astonishing. The audacity to bring up Jessie Smiles. How dare you, Gabbie? Just shameful. Grow up already. She really does still like to just take shots at Jessie Smiles, and it is pretty insane. Continuously talking about an ex-best friend after you FaceTime their rapist, took cute selfies with, then go on to make response videos discussing the situation of their rape and if it was rape or not is so vile and crazy. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, it's not looking great, Gab. Not looking great. Or Gabrielle. Sorry. Gabrielle.
Drama channels or commentary channels saying, I want to defend you, but it's just not trendy enough. Literally, I've had drama channels tell me that. They'd be like, oh yeah, it's just not getting views to support you.
Yeah, to support you. Whereas people that are hating on you and, talking about literally mental demonic attacks are getting all the views.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, to piggyback off of what you're saying here of just kind of finding that starting point where it all started. I mean, me as an outsider, like, now we're married, now we're the closest people to each other. But from an outsider, I knew nothing about this situation. And so I just figured we could start with like when you first like met Trisha or first started talking to Trisha, like how did that transpire? Because because it seems like you guys had some history.
We had some history, but the problem was she pretended like we didn't.
Yeah. So
Trisha was just like low-key a fan of me, and I was low-key a fan of hers too. Like, I knew who she was. She knew we were just creators, right? So then, DM after she's tweeting at me, she's saying she wants to be VIP at my show. She's saying she wants to be friends with me. Like, literally was just tweeting at me, tweeting support at me all the time. So we ended up DMing, exchanging numbers with each other. And just like texting. We had like a texting friendship, but as you've brought up, like, you can build real friendships online, right? And
very much so.
But the thing that's also weird about her text messages to me that makes all of this so much crazier, and I didn't even remember so much of this stuff until I was actually looking at the text messages, but she was literally texting me being like, our friendship means so much. And I remember receiving those messages and being like, I've never even hung out with this person one-on-one like that. So like, this is a lot. But I also recognized something in her, which is like, okay, she's lonely. She's like having a hard time mentally. She's like, spiritually, and she needs a friend.
You could be one of the biggest online creators as well, and all of those things could be true.
Yeah.
Like it's all, there's a big difference between just having a really active, like outgoing personal social life and then just having a life that you're living online where it kind of looks like you are, but you're really not.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was just trying to be like, kind to her. Like I liked her. You know what I mean? It's not like I was like, oh, I'm just being nice to her. Like, no, we were just friends. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We didn't hang out that much. Like she invited me to her birthday party. I did go, but it was her birthday party. She's drunk. She's talking to everybody. So we really didn't talk that much at her party. Yeah. And then I think we might have had one more crossover, maybe two at like a mutual friends party. But like her and I have never hung out. Like it was never like that. But this is what happened, and I feel like this is a connection that nobody has really made. Like, I was just talking to my best friend who has been there literally through all of it, knew me before, during, after, was following it, and she was like, I never realized that's what it was because everything was so chaotic at once. But there was an actual motive to this. So, see, I just feel so bad, like, talking about this stuff, and, like, it feels almost wrong for me to talk about it, and I wish that it wasn't made my business, but it was. Because now it's like, I have to talk about somebody's sexual history, which is not my business, and I would never talk about publicly, but it actually matters in this context. So, to give a recap of this, I had a friend, we'll just use the name, who cares? Everybody knows who it is. So, one day I was with Shane, I had just filmed his podcast, and he said something about Trisha's herpes, and I said, what? And he goes, oh, she's totally open about it. She's talked about it online before. And I was just like, I didn't know that. But I did remember a video where Trisha was talking about the STDs she's had. She was listing them off. And then she said, and there's one incurable one that I don't want to name online. If you have the clip, find it, send it. I had it at one point. I have posted videos with all of the screenshots and evidence against all of this. So it's out there. If this is what I was thinking the other day. If D'Angelo Wallace could find that filmed on a potato clip from a lost episode of my like spin-off podcast, everything's out there. Like if you want to see my actual responses to all of this stuff, it's out there.
It's in the archive somewhere,
Yeah, so they're out there in the ether.
Yeah. It's on somebody's old hard drive,
It's on somebody's new hard drive.
New hard drive. Yeah.
Wait, where was I? Oh, so
talking about the story.
Anyways, so I'm like, okay, didn't really know this, but now I have this information. Never gonna talk about it, never gonna tweet about it, never gonna expose anything about it. However, this was maybe a few weeks or a couple months before her and Jason started hooking up / dating. So I remember, and by the way, I never watched the vlogs. Like everybody knows that I was always behind on what was going on, like even more than the viewers because I just wasn't watching the vlogs. So they come over and Jason is talking about how he had sex with Trisha. And I have this thing in my head of like, oh my gosh, her best friend openly told me she has herpes and said she talks about it online. So this wasn't like a whisper of a YouTuber saying, this was like her best friend was saying, yes, this is true. And she said,
like, it's just crazy that we're talking about this in the big 2-6, Gabbie. Move on. Move on. Move on. We are talking about Trisha Paytas having herpes in the big 2-6. We're talking about her, like, dating Jason Nash. She's married now with kids. That is how much time has passed. That is how much people have moved on from this event, Gabbie. You're the only one who's still stuck there. And your husband's just sitting here like, I'm just let her yap. I'ma just let her yap. That's crazy.
It publicly and isn't ashamed, right? So then I asked him, hey, like, did you use a condom? And that might sound weird, but like, we're adult friends. You know what I mean? Like, this is like adult friends talking. He said no. And these are my exact words. Listen, I do not know if this is true, obviously, but Shane told me that Trisha has herpes, and I don't know why he'd lie about that so openly. I think she has talked about it online. So if you plan on hooking up with her, you need to have this conversation with her, ask her about it, which is literally the best possible thing I could have done. It's like, here's I don't know the truth, but you ask her about it. There was no, don't tell Trisha I told you. Like there was literally, it was ask her about it. I told him to.
Right.
So then she apparently finds out because he asks her about it. So then I'm hearing whispers for like, I don't know how long of, oh, hey, did you tell people that Trisha had herpes? Like people keep texting me and stuff about this. So then we had a mutual friend who I was like close with. And I was just like, hey, did she say anything about this to you? And she was like, yes. She said basically, oh, are you friends with Gabbie? She keeps telling people I have herpes, which isn't true. Like I never was telling people that Trisha had herpes.
Right.
I told a friend who had unprotected sex with somebody.
I mean, you You did tell him that she had herpes, though. Like, you told a person that she. And you can be. We can debate the ethics of her doing so, but you did. You did. You did. Personally, I think Jason Nash is a grown ass man and should be, doing his due diligence himself and wearing a condom. And ultimately, if he doesn't, I think that's kind of on him. But if she wants to get involved and involve herself, then you're gonna end up with this situation. Like, you had the option not to involve yourself in this situation. You chose to. You chose to participate. And you chose to step in and be like, yo, let me drop some information on you, and now you're involved. I don't know what else to say. You involved yourself in the situation and you're mad about it years later. Still.
Who I was told and she said has an incurable STD. Like, that is what a friend would do. And I'm telling you right now, if you take the side of don't tell your friend that they're sleeping with somebody raw dog who has an incurable STD and has openly admitted it on the internet, you're not a friend.
Okay, but even with all that information, she has openly admitted it on the internet. He's a grown-ass man. At what point do we also just consider that he's saying fuck it with his own health? He is saying fuck it. He's decided, I'm not wearing a condom. I'm not gonna protect myself. I'm not going to even like ask this person or look into anything like that. Like, I'm not going to do anything like that. Like, I do think that you should be having these conversations with your partners, and with, especially new partners, new sexual partners, you should be having these conversations with. Especially as an adult, I don't know, like, if you can't have these conversations as an adult with your sexual partner, then maybe you should not be having sex. Like, maybe you should be doing something else. I don't know. So, yeah. Like, I'm not saying that I don't know personally where I stand on Gabbie making the decision to tell Jason, but I do think that she decided to involve herself in a situation that she didn't have to, and now she's dealing with the ramifications of that, and she doesn't want to. She just wants to kind of be like, well, I did the right thing. And sometimes doing the right thing means that you get pushback for it. So, like, people get pushback for doing the right thing all the time. So, I mean, if that's what we're saying happened here, it's not insane that you received, some sort of controversy for it. And again, she is saying that this is the reason she can't join churches. Like, she can't volunteer at churches and shit like that. I don't know, man. I don't think so, but okay.
Like, what? How can you enable that behavior of like, it's not my business?
Right.
No, this is your health.
Yeah.
Incurable STD.
Okay. But again, maybe we should encourage the behavior of grown-ass adults should be doing their due diligence and having these discussions before they have sex. And they should wear condoms. Because you can get sick. Can we try that way? Can we try that option? I think that might be a better option overall, personally.
This is the right thing to do. Tell your friend. And if you have a friend who...
And also, why if she had admitted it online, why didn't he just say, "Oh, I heard it online"? Like, why did he go, "Gabbie told me"? Like, that's also kind of fuck Jason. a little bit for for turning around and being like, yeah, Gabby told me that you might have a fucking STD. Uh, can we talk about that? Like, if she admitted it online, then just fucking be like, I heard it online. I don't know. That might have solved all of this problem. Once again, I think we blame the man. This sounds like a lot of this is Jason's fault. I'm just going to be real with you. He could have worn a condom. He could have lied. Like, we could have avoided this entire situation if Jason wasn't Jason Nash.
Disagrees with you, cut them off. That person is not your friend. Cut them off. Anyways, so here's what I went wrong. I was feeling very petty. I was getting very annoyed because I think I confronted her about it. And I was just like, stop. Like, stop telling people that I'm she spread the rumor herself that she had herpes. Like, I did not spread that rumor. She spread the rumor trying to get ahead of a rumor that I wasn't trying to spread.
Right.
Does that make sense?
She spread it. Shane spread it. You were just trying to help a friend in one-on-one communication.
Right.
Yeah.
And told him to confront her directly.
Yeah.
So anyways, I get real petty at this point. I make an Instagram post where I think it was a poll. And I was like, here's a question. If you found out that your friend is sleeping with somebody who by good source you heard might have an incurable STD, would you tell them or you wouldn't? And then she sees it, gets immediately triggered. There was no clue that it was about Trisha at all. Like, literally nothing would have led to that. Like, it was such a general, if you found out your friend was sleeping with someone with an incurable STD, but she got really triggered by it, made this video immediately, like within the hour, on the bathroom floor saying, guys, Gabby Hanna won't leave me alone. She's a stalker. She's crazy. She's delusional. She's imagined this entire friendship with me. She started this rumor that I have herpes. She keeps telling everybody I have herpes. She's a mean girl. She's like the meanest girl on the internet. Nobody knows it. It just goes full-fledged.
Oh, and the most important one and the most persistent one was Gabby Hanna is a liar. Gabby Hanna is lying. Wait, there might have been one that says do not trust Gabby Hanna, but I might be exaggerating that part in my brain because honestly this whole thing has just felt like a scene from Mean Girls, but like real life. But like I'm Katie and they're all like Regina and the Mean Girls and like the rest of the school. But anyways, yeah, it was like from day one, off the top, don't trust.
Wait. If you're Katie, then you also did some fuck shit. Like, if we're taking this analogy to its, extent. If you're Katie, you also did some fuck shit in this situation, Gabby, okay? Just saying. Like, let's be careful with the analogies we make. Because if you're Katie, you were also a little bit of a mean girl at one point in this scenario. So, all right.
Her, she's a liar. You can't believe anything she says, especially if she says I have herpes.
Yeah.
So like I don't respond to it because I was just like, that's gonna die. Like, let her get it out. Like, what am I gonna respond to, right? Like,
Sure. Yeah.
so then this idea of like she's crazy, she's a psycho started with the motive of Trisha had to literally immediately destroy my credibility.
Yeah.
She had to convince everybody that I don't even know this girl. Like, there's all of this evidence that we actually had a friendship and that she was like, I've never even heard one of her songs. Mountains of footage of her singing my music, like that clear day and night, right? So this is crazy making to me because I'm just like, how is anybody believing this? And then the thing that crushed me and like actually destroyed my self-esteem was realizing that all of the evidence could be out there and people would still choose to hate me. And when I realized that people chose Trisha Paytas and believed her over me, it was just like,
the problem is, I'm not saying Trisha's a saint by any stretch of the imagination. She's not. The problem is, this is not the only incident that Gabby has been involved in that has caused people to not like her. This is not the only thing that you have done, Gabby, or the only controversy that you've been involved in. So you can't, like, there's no proof, there's no rhyme or reason that suggests that this is because of Trisha and the herpes shit.
oh, I literally want to off myself.
Yeah.
Like, that's what people think of me, is people are going to believe Trisha Paytas despite me having all of this evidence that she's literally lying for attention and out of fear. But it just never stopped. It was like video after video after video. And then I would respond, and then video after video. And each one's just getting crazier. It's like, she's showing up to my house. I had to get extra security. I gave them her picture. I'm afraid for my life. She's crazy. I'm afraid. She literally tweeted, I'm afraid she's going to kill me.
And meanwhile, you didn't even know where she lived at all.
I did not know where she lived. But why did she know where I lived? Because in one of her videos, she's like, I hate that we even live in the same area. I hate that she breathes the same breath as me. And I was like, I don't know where you live.
Yeah.
Why do you know where I live? Like, literally. Like,
Yeah.
And when I realized that she was projecting all of this onto me, and she's also a copycat. Like, she copies my music video visuals. She'll literally, like, I'll wear a shirt, and then she would pop up wearing that shirt. Like, I had this one wishbone necklace. She, like, pops up with this wishbone necklace. Like, it was just, she was literally copying me, mimicking it, saying she's a fan.
Yeah.
And then she painted me out to be this, like, obsessive stalker who imagined a friendship with her. Meanwhile, she's texting me saying, our friendship means so much, and we've never hung out. You know what I mean? So it's like, when I realized she was projecting all of this onto me, when she was tweeting, I'm afraid for my life, I'm afraid Gabbie Hanna's gonna kill me, my thought was literally, I think Trisha Paytas is thinking about killing me. Because everything else to this point has been such a projection, this mean girl, rumors, gossip. Like, that's what she was doing to me this whole time, starting a rumor that I started a rumor I didn't start. You know what I mean? Like, she was mean. She was literally showing up places, which is why I made the story asking, are you friends with Gabbie Hanna? Oh, she started this rumor about me. She's the meanest girl in the entire world.
Yeah.
Almost.
Almost.
But we'll get to that one.
And it's worth just taking a quick pause to mention too that we completely understand that, like, everybody involved, anybody that we're going to talk about in these podcasts that we're going to end up doing together, we're all at much different places in our lives. You know what I mean? And we can recognize that. But because of the psychological damage and trauma that happened in your life, this is still something that follows you to this very day.
Right.
These comments are still present to this very day. So I just want to recenter the focus on, that's why we're talking about this.
Yeah, because
this
it's
is an
easy for
ongoing
me.
part.
Yeah, and it's easy for me to get kind of sidetracked and like,
Trauma and damage. Oh man. Okay. I don't think. All right.
Yeah.
get heated. But the problem
and
is,
relive that moment.
especially the moments, the years.
Yeah.
And that's part of, like, not just OCD, but what this is, which was psychological abuse.
Yeah.
This is psychological abuse on so many levels. And in fact, where's my phone? Because I want to read what ChatGPT said about psychological abuse.
It's on the floor right next to you.
Kendra? Kendra, is that you? It's the I fell in love with my psychiatrist lady. Talking to ChatGPT about limerence or whatever the fuck it was. Oh my god, why are people like this? We're so screwed, bro. We are so cooked, we are so cooked, we are so cooked, we are so fucking cooked, dog. I'm What the fuck do you mean you're going to listen to ChatGPT, Gabbie? Just Google it. Just Google it. Just Google it. Just fucking Google it. Just fucking type it into Google and read the goddamn description that comes up, okay? Oh, click on the goddamn dictionary website or something. I don't give a fuck. Do something. Do something.
Because this is a term that I'm finally, like, just getting a better relationship with, because it's so, like, it's a weird trait to want to be a victim. And there are people who want to be victims, right? But, like, to just call this what this is, I am a victim of psychological abuse on a mass scale by many people, but spearheaded first and foremost by Trisha Paytas. And then by Ethan Klein, which is the next.
Wait, how did Ethan get in this? Look, it's fuck Ethan all day, every day, but oh, that's incredible. Oh, that's incredible. We got a Ethan Klein mention. I assume we're going to be talking about frenemies then.
Asked ChatGPT, sorry guys, I know a lot of you say it uses a lot of water, and I have to be honest, I'm not smart enough to understand.
It's also just stupid. It's dumb. It gets things wrong. AI gets things wrong. It wants to fucking satisfy you, so it will say whatever the fuck it thinks you want to hear. Even if it doesn't have an answer, it'll be like, here, this is the closest thing I have to an answer. Let me make it sound like an answer for you. Here you go, bestie. That's what fucking AI does. So stupid.
Understand what you're saying.
To be honest, I think that
You don't understand what people are saying when they say it uses too much water. Do you really need to like understand the process? Do you really need to understand like the ins and outs of what's going on other than just the resources that it consumes? And that we need those resources, and that it could perhaps be a bad thing that we are spending those resources on AI.
those data centers would be there regardless. I understand that chat is like taking up resources, but I don't know how much I can subscribe to myself. But I will say this though, is that like,
You know what? That's like the best thing he has said this entire podcast. You know what? Gabbie might have actually got herself a winner. Fuck it. In the Big 2-6, your man doesn't use AI. That's a win. Marry him. Lock him down. Fuck it. That's a keeper right there. Honestly, the sexiest thing he has said so far. You know what? I kind of see it now, Gabbie. I kind of get it. I get it. I see the vision. I'm coming around to it.
other people have been, you know, quote unquote victimized in this. I don't understand it. I mean, they've moved on with their lives. They're doing their
They've
thing
started
now.
and been given
Whatever.
great opportunities, great careers.
This is something that you're still actively living with every single day. You know,
Because it's not just this. This is not the reason that people don't fuck with Gabbie Hanna. It's because of, like, I don't know why. I don't know. Like, it's unfortunate. I don't think that this should be the case. But I do not understand why. Well, I do understand why. It's because she wants to blame Trisha. But I don't understand why she is locked onto this stuff with Trisha and not perhaps the very public mental breakdown that she had and manic episode where she said things that were offensive and she, I don't think, has apologized for them. She said things that were offensive about trans people. She said some racist things. She just said some crazy shit throughout that entire fucking period, and I don't think she's ever apologized for them. And then there's the Jessie Smiles stuff. She keeps taking shots at Jessie Smiles in the replies to people on her TikTok. It just, like, those are the reasons that people don't like you, Gabbie. It really mostly goes back to the Jessie Smiles stuff. I think some of it also has to do with the manic episode you had and people just kind of being shitty. But I do think a lot of it goes back to the stuff with Jessie Smiles and the fact that people think you're a bit of a rape apologist. Like, that's it. That's the reason people don't fuck with you, Gabbie. It's nothing to do with Trisha. And everything to do with your own behavior throughout the years.
Yeah.
seeing these comments and things like that, like,
And I've
how-
still lost a lot of opportunities, a lot of collaborations. A lot of people won't even follow me or like comment on a post because they don't want to be seen supporting somebody who did XYZ.
yeah, me, I look at this from the outside and I think to myself, how are you not the victim in this? You know, when churches are even like
Wait, what are the churches doing?
excluding you from doing
Mm-hmm.
certain.
And what's so sickening is
Like, do you realize how bad your reputation has to be for churches to be excluding you? Do you realize how bad your reputation has to be for the literal house of Christ to be like, we ain't got shit for you. We ain't got shit for you, bestie. We ain't got shit for you. Do you know how bad your reputation has to be? And I don't think it has anything to do with Trisha. And everything to do with just who you are as a person, Gabbie. Oh my god. That's crazy. I don't know why she thinks this makes her look like a victim or makes her look better. It makes you look bad that churches don't want to work with you. Like, they love a fresh convert. What do you mean? They love someone who's just found fucking Christ. They love that shit. They hype that shit up all the goddamn time. They eat that shit for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they want nothing to do with your ass, Gabbie. That should say something. Oh, wow. Wow.
The people listening who will just paint me as the monster no matter what, despite the fact that I'm actually the victim and tried screaming it at the top.
Like, I'm not even saying that Trisha didn't do some things that were, you know, out of pocket or like that she should not have done. Trisha was also experiencing her own mental health issues and her own sort of, you know, things that she had going on. You know, it's not necessarily an excuse, but it does help you understand the situation a little bit more. And if Gabbie wants to receive, you know, grace and understanding for her own mental health experiences, then I think that she needs to sort of be willing to extend that to someone like Trisha, who has hurt her in the past and has, you know, now moved on. But you gotta, you know, you can't just take it and be like, and then not also express that same understanding and empathy to somebody else who needs it. It's a little fucked up to do that.
Of my lungs in like 2020 because I was just like, how does nobody see that what Trisha Paytas is doing to me and what she started and created is literally psychological abuse?
And that's the real problem, by the way, is, you know, that herd mentality.
Yeah.
The sheep that follow.
But also the claims that she was making were so insane. Like she was literally saying, like she was making posts with the titles like, Gabbie Hanna, you're scaring me. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
You're scary. You're delusional. I'm afraid of you. So people literally, because it started off with Trisha, but then she went on to Frenemies, because Ethan Klein made a podcast and had her come co-host with him.
Yeah.
And then she just like brought it to this platform, and Ethan Klein was making it like almost a weekly topic. And I reached out to Ethan multiple times and I was like, this is not true. I can prove that all of this is not true. If you're going to platform these lies, allow me the opportunity to come on and defend myself. Like you are spreading slander and misinformation on your platform and encouraging it. He completely ignored me. I would have destroyed you in a lawsuit, by the way, Ethan Klein, and you're welcome, because I was literally thinking about your wife and your children.
Ah! Oh my god. Listen. If Gabbie had sued Ethan Klein, I'd support her. Hindsight's 2020, obviously, but it is fuck Ethan, and he loves his own frivolous lawsuits, so fuck it. Dish it out, you know, take it a little bit. Take it a little bit, Ethan. Take what you give out just a little bit. Oh, I wish Gabbie had the balls to do it. That would have been fun. Like, she's like, oh, I was thinking about your wife. Fuck Ela. Fuck her too. Sue her too. Sue the kids too. I don't care. Sue them all. Sue the whole family.
And I was thinking about the next 3 years of my life that would have been spent putting this together.
Yeah.
Because between him, Trisha, Jesse Smiles, Spill Sash.
What did Jesse Smiles do? What does Jesse Smiles have to do with any of this? You just can't help yourself, girl. You cannot help yourself but mention Jesse Smiles. It has been years. Oh my god. Spill Sash, like
Angelica Oles, Dustin Bailey, The Viewer's Voice, Smoky Glow, Ready to Glare, like whoever else, like all these channels that like, see, I'm spiraling. What are we even talking about? Literally, like this is why I have to do this, because it's just this psychological like rumination of like, there's so much ongoing trauma that it works me up to like this place, like in the middle of the day, because like every like 3 hours I'm directly impacted by this thing that Trisha Paytas put on me, that I'm a narcissistic.
Every 3 hours? Is that what she just said? Like, I just don't believe you, dude. Like, I think that you are misinterpreting people's reactions to you, Gabbie. And instead of taking that in and being like, I'm the problem, I need to work on myself, or I need to make amends for my past actions, you're looking for the nearest scapegoat, and in this case, it's Trisha. because Trisha's an easy scapegoat. She is. Like, she just is. At the time, she was, again, going through her own struggles, not behaving in a way that, people want or expect or is good or healthy for anybody. And it's easy to be like, yeah, Trisha's the problem. Trisha was the problem, everybody. And hope that people actually believe you because, it's Trisha Paytas. And I'm not even saying that Trisha wasn't doing things that were a little out there. Because again, it's Trisha. She definitely was. But I just don't think that this is the thing that has ruined your life. Like, I don't think this is the thing that has stuck with you and been like, yeah, your career is going to be defined by what Trisha said.
Manipulative, psychotic, dangerous stalker that has just morphed into so many things over the years that now I'm just a meme. That you can literally make a post about me being psychotic or make fun of me for the mental breakdown that came from years of being called psychotic when I was not, literally being gaslighted to such an extreme degree that I literally almost killed myself like multiple times because I truly thought that I had to be insane to be experiencing such a different reality than everybody else. Like, I went to doctor after doctor after doctor trying to get somebody to diagnose me with schizophrenia, psychosis, mania, like literally anything that I could fix whatever was going on. Like, I was actually gaslighted and psychologically abused to the point of questioning my own reality, my own sanity, my own ability to reason. Like, and I tried to say it, but nobody cared. So anyways, I asked ChatGPT to tell me about psychological abuse. I literally was crying reading this out loud earlier because, like,
All right. No, that's fine. Fuck it. Why not? Whatever you say. Yeah. Sure.
just reading how it was so exactly what I was experiencing, like, was just hitting me so deep. Like, to really, for the first time, like, this week, like, coming to grips with that, like, word of, like, this is psychological abuse, and, like, the embarrassment of being like, I'm a victim of psychological abuse from some woman. Okay. So psychological abuse, also called emotional or mental abuse, is a pattern of behavior meant to control, intimidate, destabilize, or diminish another person without necessarily using physical violence.
I love how she needed ChatGPT to define psychological abuse. Am I crazy? Are those words not fairly self-explanatory? Like, some things you can just figure out, right? Like, psychological abuse. What is psychological abuse? And then you can, like, you identify it. You identify behavior as that thing. Like, am I crazy? Is that not like a thing? Is that not how brains work? I mean, did you really need ChatGPT to tell you psychological abuse is a pattern of behavior meant to control, intimidate, destabilize, or diminish another person without necessarily using physical violence? I don't know. Okay.
Okay. It attacks your sense of self, and often it's invisible from the outside. What it actually is. Psychological abuse is not just someone being rude, stressed, or imperfect. It's patterned behavior that undermines your confidence, distorts your perception of reality, controls.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that was mean. I'm sorry, that was mean. I shouldn't laugh. I'm so sorry. 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 That was mean. That was really mean. I shouldn't have done that. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Your choices, makes you feel afraid, small, or dependent. The damage is internal to your mind, identity, and nervous system. So I'm just going to address kind of section by section. All of my choices have been, like, made around this. You know what I mean? Like, everything I say or do, I have to think about the way people are going to react. Because no matter what I do, I can be talking about my hair color, I can be talking about my faith, I can be talking about literally anything. And it's crazy. I could be dancing, manic psychosis, crazy. Guys, I've seen this.
Like, yes, but you're Gabbie, you're a content creator. Like, that is the very nature of being a content creator. You upload things and people react to them. And oftentimes, yeah, they get weird and stupid. I am a very, very, very tiny channel. And I also have dealt with weird and stupid people. It's not that is the very nature of being a content creator. Is you upload things, yeah, talking about literally anything, you Gabbie, yes, and especially you, who has been online for years and has quite a few people who know who you are and are going to engage with your content. Like, like there's an easy solution to all of this, I guess, and that is to stop being a content creator. You can stop uploading, I guess, and then people won't be in like again, I do think people get weird about her mental health to a degree, but she's complaining about people engaging with like the stuff that she posts and the way they engage with it. And it's just like she's like, I could be posting anything and people will, you know, come at me with like this certain like this energy, and it's like, yeah, that, like you're a content creator, like, like that is yeah, yeah. I don't know what else to say. Just yeah.
This before. Like, go open my comment section right now. And it wasn't even like that a few days ago. Like, it was like everything was positive and good, and then there's just all these viral posts. She's psychotic again. She's experiencing psychosis, and now that's all my comment section.
It was kind of like you were reaching out to a new fan base. You were kind of starting to get there, and then all of a sudden, like you said earlier, some viral posts started happening, and some people started coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
I would call it.
And then this makes you feel afraid, smaller, dependent. Like, literally, I've been so afraid. If you would have seen the number of just like I did that Jubilee thing. And the idea of like Trisha Paytas or any of these people being there literally had me like shaking like this because they've harmed me so deeply.
Yeah.
And when I realized I'm afraid to say these people's names. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's literally like Voldemort, like he who should not be like people can't say it around me and I can't say it around them because it actually is so traumatic. Like she has genuinely traumatized me.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. I okay. Okay. No, that's fine. There's still quite a bit left of this, but I do think I need to end the stream. I if you could do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, notification bell, all that lovely stuff. But I do need to go. It is I have to be up early tomorrow. I will be back Sunday for sure, and we can possibly finish this up and I can get into talking about Jasmine Crockett because I did want to talk about Jasmine Crockett and I did not get the chance to. So hopefully I will get to do that. My computer is freaking out on me. That's not good. I might have to end the stream because my freaking OBS just froze. Okay, actually, I'm not even sure how I'm going to end the stream now because we are in what the heck? Okay. How am I gonna do this? I can't show you what I'm looking at here, but it is not like I can't actually see the button I need to click to end the stream, and I cannot see my mouse moving. So this is awesome. Okay.
Right.
This is so sick. Oh my god. How am I gonna do this? Okay. I might just have to turn my computer off. That's crazy. Is that what I'm gonna have to do? Is that what we're gonna have to do here? For real? Okay. Alright. Let me see if I can't. God damn it. That's so. Oh, okay, there we go. Hey, it's back. Nope, there it goes again. How did I do that? Okay. Okay. There's that. There. Got it. Okay. I can end the stream now. Oh my god, that was insane. I really thought I was going to have to like just turn my computer off. Okay. All right. Have a good night. Fuck. Again, I'll be back. I'll be back Sunday. I'll be back Sunday if we can finish this up and I can give my opinions on Jasmine Crockett. Awesome. Okay, cool. And have a good night. Take care of yourselves.